Hello and welcome to another video from Elegant AOV in my guide to switching from SC2 to Brood War. Today I'm afraid my webcam is a little bit indisposed. By indisposed I mean I left it in Wales. So that's pretty much nobody's fault except mine. So you are getting different stuff today. You are getting this lovely screen which depicts me at my finest, and it also depicts a vulture. This is because today's video is about the vulture. So we're going to dive straight in and see what the vulture means for you as a human being. Now the vulture is a Terran unit and it's an extremely capable harassment unit. Think of it somewhat as a parallel to the Hellion. It doesn't have that long flame attack anymore, so it doesn't do splash damage. It fires out a little missile which is very effective against low armor units. This makes it very good against workers of any variety. It's also extremely useful in a big Terran push where you're needing to kill lots of small lightly armored units such as zealots. So it's an extremely capable harassment unit, and it also can be good in an army if you know exactly where you need to use it. It's really good at harassment for a number of reasons. The first one is its damage, so it's going to do very high damage to all those poor little workers. I believe it kills drones in 2 hits, probes in 2 hits, and SCVs in 3, I think, or maybe it's 4. I'm not entirely certain, but anyway, very, very fast to kill pretty much any type of worker. So basically, vultures are these kind of granny mugger guys who go around picking on the weak and the vulnerable in big groups, and will kill your workers in an instant if you look the wrong way. The second reason why they are a very effective harassment unit is their speed. They have a speed upgrade available from the machine shop, and that's available pretty early on, which makes them the fastest unit in the game. So they can dart by defensive lines, they can dart by cannons, they can dart by sunken colonies, they can dart by pretty much whatever you want to take them past. So unless the defense is really well thought through, then they will probably be able to find a way past you, and it will be a little while before you can catch up with them again. So that factor also adds into making them extremely scary for your workers. Possibly the most crucial aspect of the vulture is the fact that they contain the spider mine upgrade. Now the spider mine upgrade is available from pretty early on, also from the machine shop. A spider mine is a vulture ability. Each vulture starts off with the ability to lay 3 once it's been upgraded, of course. Now spider mines are a small cloaked unit which burrows down into the map, which vultures lay around as they like. When a unit which walks wanders over a spider mine, the spider mine will pop up and will explode not only on the unit, but it will also do a large amount of splash damage to everything around it. So that's pretty brutal in terms of your army. So if you're a Terran and you're using spider mines to keep map control, like you're planting them all over the place, and the enemy wanders their army into a small cluster of spider mines, it can do horrible, horrible damage to all their units. But it's also very useful for maintaining control while you're in the enemy base doing harassment, and we'll see a bit more on that in the game that we're going to take a look at in just a minute. So vultures are useful in all 3 matchups. They're useful both as harassment, as part of an army, and very strong for map control. But they do take high micromanagement and multitasking. This is because they are extremely fast, so they get from one place to the other very fast, and you have to keep your eye on them at all times. Laying mines also takes a fair amount of APM, so you're going to have to get a bit used to that, and it will take a bit of getting used to. But now, without further ado, you have seen the lovely picture of a vulture, you've seen the lovely picture of me, so we are going to jump straight into a game which is ghostly flying versus fantasy, rather, and this is the match in which fantasy uses vultures so greatly to his advantage that he pretty much tears ghostly flying apart using vultures alone. Fantasy, of course, known as the terrorist Terran for his brutal disregard for the enemy's poor little civilian worker dudes. And he was at his best in this particular match. We'll see him use his vultures in a couple of different ways. We'll see him use them early on in order to secure his expansion, and we'll see him use them throughout the mid-game to maintain the map control within Ghostly Flying's base as he's picking off probes. So let's jump right into that here. So right now what we see is we see Dragoons moving around, trying to have a few pot shots at the Marines and the tank as the units move out. So we're going to take a quick pause here. So what's happening at this stage is the Dragoons are moving in and out, trying to take out that Vulture and trying to take out Marines, possibly have a go at the tank if they can. Basically the process is just putting on as much pressure as possible. So we're going to see Fantasy using those Marines to the best of his advantage and keeping that Vulture alive so it can secure his expansion. So Fantasy makes sure that that Vulture doesn't go down, and he moves his Marines out and using them as a shield, so it doesn't matter if they die. They do die, but it doesn't matter. He lays down those 3 spider mines. Ghosty Flying then decides to try and be extremely clever and try and micro those mines down, failing horribly, taking huge amounts of damage to his fledgling Dragoon force, as we can see here. Commentator's very excited about this whole thing, obviously, so time for another wee quick pause. So what we saw there was Fantasy basically chucking away a few Marines in order to get the proper control of his natural expansion. Ghosty Flying attempted to micro down those mines, but his micro went horribly wrong and he lost almost all the health off most of his Dragoons, and 1 Dragoon died entirely. So we're going to move on now a bit further through the game and take a look at how Fantasy uses Vultures later on. So what we've got happening here is Fantasy moving his dropship out across the map. Now we're going to take a little pause here, getting a bit lucky, escaping the Dragoons there. We're going to take a quick pause. Oh my goodness, what is that? We're going to take a quick pause and see exactly what's going to happen. Fantasy drops the Vultures into the back of Ghosty Flying's base, as we can tell from this, and he's going to start laying down spider mines in crucial positions where he knows the Dragoons are going to have to walk through in order to get to his Vultures and kill them off before they do too much damage to his probe line. Fantasy is extremely good at this kind of dropship play, so don't don't expect yourself to be reaching this level right away, but this is an exemplary game if you are looking to learn a bit about how these harassment techniques work. So let's go right ahead and continue this match. The Vultures drop down in there and lay mines immediately in order to gain control of that channel through which Dragoons will want to move, laying down as many mines as possible. And we can see 1 going off on that Dragoon group already, and the Vultures are now just camped in behind the mineral line. Another big mine going off. You see the splash damage effect there. The Vultures camped in behind the mineral line, taking out as many probes as they please. So Fantasy's had to invest a lot in taking care of those Vultures in terms of his Dragoons, and he's also lost a lot of workers in the process, and this still continues. Those Vultures brilliantly micro darting in and out as much as they wish. He's also managed to maintain good control of Ghosty Flying's natural with those spider mines in the choke point, and we can see a couple more going off on those Dragoons. Really horrible for Ghosty Flying, managing to micro down a couple more without taking those horrible mine hits. So now, having skipped a bit further on, we can see another dropship making its way over to Ghosty Flying's main base. Having just managed to take out that Vulture at the front, there's still a Dragoon popping away at his nexus, and we'll see how panic ensues as these Vultures drop into the back of his base. A bunch of mines going off again on his Dragoons, taking masses and masses of damage as more Vultures come in and start absolutely destroying his mineral line in true terrorist Terran fashion. Running around the edge now, trying to do as much damage as possible before they inevitably get taken out by the Dragoon force. That siege tank still just blasting away, and only now does the Observer come out. We can see how much easier it is for him to clear those mines when the Observer out. He can see them, he can shoot at them just like any other unit, but until the Observer is around, it's very difficult for him to deal with the spider mines. Fancy there, the terrorist Terran himself. So we're going to skip a bit more through this game and take a small further look at Fantasy's usage of Vultures. So we see the Observer hovering over Fantasy's expansion there, so he makes sure he knows if more stuff is leaving from the expansion, although of course there is still a dropship out on the map. That very damaged Nexus is just waiting to be sniped, and I believe that is what Fantasy has in mind. Moving a few tanks out to put pressure on the front, at the same time launching a dual-pronged attack, and he's going to be landing some stuff in behind Ghosty Flying's natural as well. A few more mines being laid down there, They're very effective also at just delaying the Dragoons, so if you have maybe 1 or 2 tanks behind a significant line of mines, it's going to be very hard for Protoss to move through them at any good rate. Tanks sieging up behind the mineral line, more mines going down just to waste the Protoss' time, and the expansion nexus is finished. Very, very intelligent harassment techniques, using it to take out an entire base from Ghostly Flying, so really very impressive by Fantasy. So having skipped on a bit forward again, we see more Vultures running into the base of Flying, and it's become a complete fiasco for him now. More mines being laid down. They go around and just keep bashing away at all those probes. You can see the army desperately trying to come back, but can't do so fast enough, and there is the GG. Fantasy destroying Ghostly Flying in that game purely with the use of harassment techniques. So we can see for that game an absolutely prime example of how Vultures and harassment can be used to take down a game. We saw how Fantasy managed to maintain control with the mines. He managed to keep his expansion alive in the early game for the cost of only a few Marines. Cost Ghostly Flying a good few Dragoons there. He also managed to maintain control within the Protoss base by laying mines down, costing more Dragoons again, wasting time while he was able to keep sniping down those probes, and how he was also able to do a lot of damage to Ghostly Flying in the choke of his natural expansion, just by having laid down more mines again. The Dragoons were having to battle through to try and take out that final tank, and again the Protoss lost an awful lot of forces and money in trying to do that. So I hope that this has given you an effective look into Vultures and some of the ways in which they can be used effectively. In this video I had promised 1 or 2 people that I was going to do some hotkey stuff. In order to do that effectively, I'm going to need a webcam so you can see what my hands actually do, and with that I'll be able to record a bit of first person stuff as well, so you can match the two together and see how the whole thing works. So as soon as I've got another webcam again, I'll do that. That should be within the next few days or so. So don't worry, that video is going to come up as well just as soon as possible. I also said I would give a shout out to Amnesty, MYMUC, whom I met on the server. Seemed like a really nice guy, and I'd like to thank him for supporting me and for keeping watching my videos, so that's pretty cool. So once again, I have been EleGanteAOV, and this is my video on Vultures, a quick introduction to the unit. And I'll be coming out with another video soon, as always. So, in the meantime, feel free to go and watch my commentary from the weekend, which are on youtube.com/KAALISL channel. They'll be up in the next day or so as well. So thank you once again for watching, and I shall speak to you again soon. Bye bye.